Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Shonen Showdown. I am your host, Rob, and sitting to the right of me is...
Scott. Let's get it.
And today, we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia. Now, we had an episode earlier that discussed, you know, the class members that were towards the bottom tier, that weren't getting enough light. But now, we're getting into the hot and heavy. We're talking about the people that are, everyone just loves them. They have so much hype around them, so much popularity. Everyone thinks they're going to be the most elite of elite pro heroes in the near future. But we want to talk about the people who don't deserve that kind of spotlight.
Oh, yes.
So, Scott, starting with you, which Class 1A student is the most overrated in the UA?
Okay, you see, now, this is a debate I've been waiting for since, like, season 2 of My Hero, all right? Anybody that knows me knows I'm very opinionated about this subject. But for most overrated in Class 1A, this is not going to be a surprise to some, but for many of you, it will be. I'm going to have to go with the one and only Todoroki. Quirk, half and half. All right? That's my pick for most overrated. I'll get into it later, because once I start, it's not going to stop. So I'll let you, who's your pick?
You're not going to go into it. This is
once
the time.
Once I start up,
let me hear what you have to say, because I have an answer for that.
Okay.
Before I get into mine.
All right. So, backstory. We've all seen Sky High. All right, back in the day. We've all seen X-Men. All right, we've seen these powers. All right, pyrokinesis, cryokinesis. We've seen this in action. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the fact that we've seen these powers before. It just has to do with the fact that throughout the whole, we got 3 seasons now?
Yes.
3 seasons of My Hero. All I've seen from this man are Ice Blast, Ice Wall, Fire Blast, and Firewall. All right, he's got light heavy. No, he's got light ice attack, heavy ice, light fire attack, heavy fire attack. All right, that's all I've seen. All right. Compared to all these other people in comics and even his own father. I'm going to get into that later, but even compared to that,
you're
like,
doing him dirty.
He's got like 2 attacks, all right?
You're
like,
doing him dirty.
I understand he's got superior intellect on the battlefield, all right? He's more agile than most. He's a quick thinker. He fights well with midoriya. You know, he's a great partner in a battle.
Stay his resume, Scott.
Exactly, yes. Stain acknowledged him. He is a hero. But compared to where he could be and where he is, I need to see more from him. All right? I'm not seeing enough. What do you think?
I have some that listen, you made some valid points there, but here's why I do think he's overrated to some extent. But again, Scott, the question is who's the most overrated? And I don't think that is Shoto
Todoroki. We go.
And you know why I don't think that is Shoto Todoroki? Because we cannot hold his skill set against him, knowing his past, knowing why he did not even use half his quirk for his entire life until recently, right? He just recently started adding the fire flame ability to his ice and he's still trying to figure out how to complement the two together. And everybody else has had full access to their quirk except for like midoriya. Really, midoriya had to start from at a late age, but everyone else had full ability. They figured out boom 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 how to use it in combat and to a full extent, and they're still growing. Todoroki started off with only using half of it. So I think that if we're going to talk about his skill sets here, we have to acknowledge that he's that level with only using half his quirk for like 10, for how many years? Now when he adds in the fire and he learns how to complement the two together, he's going to be he already is a beast, but he's going to be a different beast. And I think that, for rank 1 coming out of Class 1A, listen, midoriya and bakugou better be ready because he's there. He's coming. He really is coming.
See, that's a decent point, but even to attack that point, I could go all over that point all day. All right, he's had his ice powers his whole life, basically. All right, yes, he always had it, but he just started using his fire powers recently. However, if what you say is true, he should have about at least 10 or 20 ice attacks and then maybe one fire attack. He literally has ice blast and ice wall. That's all he's got.
But look how far he got with only those 2 attacks. We don't even know if
impressive.
Has anyone pushed him beyond that point? I feel like
that is impressive.
Look, listen, I feel like only Stain has really pushed him to a point where it's like, okay,
where he needs more than one attack.
Yeah, and I think it was at the point where even his fight with Midoriya pushed him too, but he got so far in that tourney with only really using half and not being able to only being forced to use his other half, the fire half, until later on into the tournament. That's how much of a beast Todoroki is. Like, he's far from overrated. But there is a hero that is the most overrated in this class, and I'm so happy to say this. Listen, a lot of people, you're not even gonna know who I'm gonna say right now.
Oh, Todoroki, bet.
There's someone that's way more overrated than him, and his name is Tenya Ida. Yes, he has the jet engine quirk, and yes, to me, he is the most overrated hero in Class 1A. Now, let me go into a few things. We all kind of respect Tenya Ida, right? He's obviously very fast. He knows how to use his quirk to a certain extent. He's still learning. He's still growing. But classmates love him. He gets that popularity. Everyone recognizes him as a class rep. And I think as the class rep, you should, this is just me personally, I think that you should have some qualifications that bring you into that status of class rep. And I think Tenya Ida is lacking. I don't know how he got class. Listen, let's go into this. Is Tenya Ida a top 4 combat hero in Class 1A right now? I can name 4 people that are better than him.
Top 4?
I don't even think he's top 4.
It's kind of another debate, but
and this is, I'm gonna give you 4 names that I think are better. They are better combat heroes than Ida. 1, Brodoroki, aka Todoroki. All right, I'm going with Midoriya next, and I'm going with Bakugou after, in no specific order, obviously. And after that, I'm going with Tokuyomi. I think Tokuyomi is better than Ida, especially at night. Even though he can't really control it either, like he's way better. Ida, you can argue he's 5th, but I think if you're a class rep, you need to have some combat. You have to have some level. If you're not top 3 in your class rep, what's going on? So, like, if we're gonna say that, you're fine. You can be class rep. Let's talk about your leadership skills. I'm talking to Ida directly. Your leadership skills are trash, right?
What?
They are trash, and here's why. Everyone thinks that, okay, you're looking out for everybody, and you're supposed to be the person that is making sure that everyone stays in line. And there are instances where he's shown that he's caring about everybody. But I think as a leader, you have to be able to read situations. And I think Ida has the ability. He does not have that ability to be able to read situations. I think he's a hypocrite, and this is why. And it is with sense. There is some past to it. The situation with his brother and Stain that obviously affected him greatly because he went against UA rules and went to go after Stain, and obviously got him in a big trouble, which endangered everybody else. If you're a leader, you just endangered Midoriya's life, Todoroki's life. You know what I mean? But I understand that his brother got hit, and he was just thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna go out there and do that. But there was a situation where Bakugou got kidnapped, and he thought that it was a good idea to punch Midoriya before even finding out and realizing what the situation is. He tried to say, okay, you know what? I had a situation where I screwed up with Stain, so now everyone else has to learn from my mistake and stay back and let Bakugou go, all that stuff like that. And even though I understand his situation and why he feels that way, you have to be able to read the situation. This is not a regular situation with Stain and your brother, and you're going by yourself. Midoriya and all them, Yayorazu, everybody thought this through already. They knew what kind of risk it was, And they weren't going in there to square up 1v1. They knew if that situation came up, they would have to fight, but that was not their intention. They were going in there to save Bakugou and get out. Todoroki went up to Ida after he punched midoriya and was like, bro, we know this. We factored this in before we even decided to go after Bakugou. And I feel like the fact that Ida didn't even think to find out before he started swinging on midoriya, like, that's crazy to me. So his leadership skills are trash. He's not even top 4 in the class. What is there really to say? Like, how you're overrated? That's it. I'm not saying I don't hate Ida. I think Ida's a good person. You know, he's gonna grow. He has to learn, obviously. But as class rep, what? How? What? How are you class rep and you can't lead and you're not even a top 4 hero in the class? Like, you gotta show me more. I think he should obviously take a step back and you know, befriend everybody and be able to read situations more. And then after that, then we can come back in here and say, you know what, you deserve class rep. You deserve to be the leader of our class and tell us what to do and tell us what not to do, instead of punching everybody before we read the situation. Because if Midoriya and Yaoyorozu and all of them did not, and Todoroki and all of them, if they did not do that operation, who knows how that whole situation would have turned out? Who knows the All Might versus All for One if they weren't there? We don't know what kind of situation would have unfolded if they did not go. Their mere presence changed everything. So I think that, you know, again, Ida has to be able to read situations, and he's not a leader to me. He's not the greatest leader in the class to me, and he's not even top 4 combat wise. So what is he? He's overrated. That's what he is.
You know, I mean, you bring up some good points. However, I do have to point out the fact that you repeatedly said Ida's not top 4 in the class. I agree with that. However, if he's not top 4 in the class, how overrated could he possibly be compared to somebody who might even be top 2? You know what I'm saying? If you look back from season 1 to where we are at now in the show, Ida has developed his quirk. He's learned different tricks and different partners he can pair up with to help him, you know, perform his attacks continuously. Like, for example, when Todoroki freezes his engines, right, so that he can do another reciprocal burst. That's a cool thing he learned.
That is.
But the point I'm trying to make is he's been, from my point of view, developing his quirk throughout the show, learning new techniques, you know, getting better at combat little by little, you know, every couple of weeks at dahi.mha. However, Todoroki, I feel, has not been doing that. He has been developing his character, and he has been learning how to become a better hero gradually.
Tread carefully.
However, I feel that because he was such a strong UA class member from the get-go, he has spent less time developing his quirk and more time developing his hero sense. For example, this is the last point I want to make before you have some rebuttals.
Have the floor.
However, the main situation that I was looking for Todoroki, I was looking for some really creative attacks. And I know that might be, you know, maybe high maintenance to me. I don't know. Maybe I watch too much, you know, Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. All right? But
great show.
When the 3 Nomus attacked Hosu City during the Stain arc, all right? And Todoroki's dad pulled up and took out 2 Nomus. All right, roll the clip. He used about 4 or 5 different flame attacks on 2 different Nomus and killed them. Killed one and severely wounded the other one, so it had to run away. If we're gonna look at the list, he punched one and then carbonized his head with some Azula level fire, all right? The second attack he did, he used fireballs to knock the one out the sky, the one with wings. He put flames on his feet to melt his surroundings that he was stepping on to sprint up a building. After doing that, he made a flame spear in his hand and launched it at the thing, hit it, all right? And then saved the hero that the Nomu had grabbed. That's like 4 solid creative,
It is.
effective
That's why he's in.
flame attacks from the rank 2 hero. Like, I'm not expecting that much from Todoroki,
Yeah.
but I need a little something more than than flame blast. All right, I need a little something more than that. All right, I don't know if it's a question of he doesn't have enough gym badges or something. I don't know, but he needs a little something more. Okay, a little something more than that. I feel like his potential, the amount of attacks and how far he can go as a hero is way higher than how far Ida can go as a hero in terms of quirk power.
I'm not arguing that, but what I will argue again, and I'm just gonna reiterate a point I made earlier, is that you're holding Todoroki to a standard that it's not fair for you. Listen, if Todoroki was using fire and ice from the time he was yay high, like, yes, everything you're saying is completely right, but you have to understand that Todoroki, for a big portion of his life, he loathed Endeavor. He loathed his father, right?
Yes.
So because of that, his fire ability is A1 trash. It's not even that. It's not. He still is trying to learn how to complement that with his ice ability.
So what about ice?
But
What about ice?
Ice is only half his ability.
All right, but he should have more than the ice blast.
His ice got him to number 2 in the tournament. UA tournament.
Yes.
He finished number 2 with barely. He used fire like at the end.
That is true.
So what are we talking about here?
I'm talking about
His
he
ice
got
ability.
to that point in the tournament.
His ice ability has brought him so far.
I agree with that. However,
we gotta give credit of how far Todoroki has gotten with only using half his ability, half his quirk.
Yes. That's why I'm saying, because of that reason, because of how far he's gotten using his only 2 attacks, that's why he hasn't tried to develop more attacks or tried to make his quirk any more powerful, because as you stated and as he's seen in combat, most people can't even handle the 2 attacks.
Because they're not on his level.
Which is, that's fair. That's properly fair. However, like, I need to see more, okay? You can't just be in the show for 3 seasons and just be like, oh, well, I'm too strong. Why should I have to develop my quirk? Like, they're not even on my level yet. Like,
Scotty,
you overrated.
You're making cases for the man. You're literally saying here, you're sitting here right in front of all these viewers right now. You're sitting here and you're telling them that Todoroki, right, his quirk is so strong that he doesn't have to develop it any further. The only reason Todoroki feels that way about his ice quirk is because he's that nice. He is deserving of those ratings that he is getting because he's gotten so far with only using half his quirk. And now he's starting off with his ice level being on like 50 and his fire is starting on 1. So now what he's trying to do is he's sitting here and he's trying to catch the fire up with the ice, and we're seeing him struggle with it a little bit. So we see him he's struggling and trying to really gain more experience as a fire hero too, as well, and not as opposed to just being an ice hero. And I think that we have to give him time. You know what I mean? We can't hold him to such a high standard if he's been holding himself back for so long. He has so much potential, and if he's gotten to be recognized as one of the top heroes in the class, maybe even top 2, as you stated earlier, with only using half his quirk, I'm excited to see where he's gonna go. I don't think he's overrated whatsoever. Todoroki, whatever you want to call him, he's the guy, and he's going to do really big things. Tenya Ida, on the other hand, has a lot of work to do as a leader, because if you're class rep, you need leadership skills, and you also need to be able to fight. And if you're not top 4 in the class as a fighter, and you have no leadership skills whatsoever, and you're punching your own classmates in the face before you even figure out what the plan is and what they're trying to do, what are you doing? You have no business touching. First of all, we're talking about Midoriya. Midoriya is going to be All Might level or even higher later on. Don't touch this man. This is Midoriya. You have no business touching Midoriya, all right? At that point in time. And I get it. You got hurt. Stain attacked your brother and you had all these feelings built up. But you're a leader. You cannot let your emotions get in your head and stop you from being able to lead. And if you are a class rep, that should be the person that has never had that situation happen to them. You know what I mean? So you have to learn and you have to grow, and then we'll give you a class rep. So right now, Tenya Ida is the most overrated in Class 1A. There's no question. There's no debate.
Right, I agree with you. Todoroki is the most overrated in Class 1A. All right. Yo, you know what time it is. Sound off on the comments below.
Yeah.
Let us know. Obviously, we didn't come to a concise, conclusion to this debate. So
Definitely.
y'all going to have to help us out. Let's get to it.